Hello, you're with Kathy, the Arty Mummy, and we're up to day 14 of our 365-day challenge. And today we need to fill this section with flowers. So I thought I'd begin by just sort of warming into it by straight up trying to do little copies of the little flowers that are already provided. And I think they're quite cute and fun, and they were very easy to do. Just need a nice fine brush and the right colours, and off you go. The only one I did actually have trouble with was the one that seems to be the simplest, because as you know, the kids play in my paint sometimes and they had muddied my yellow. So the first spot of yellow came out as sort of a dark orange. So I made a bit of clean yellow, and then I ended up with a better result, but because I was going then wet into wet, they kind of ran into each other a bit, so I ended up with kind of two orange spots there. But never mind, we live and learn. And the wonderful thing about this little book is that it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to be showing it anywhere, well, except here. But you know, it's not going to be hanging on a wall, and it's not, I don't have to exhibit it or anything like that. So you know, it's just a little practice book, and it doesn't really matter if I make mistakes. That's what it's for. It's for I apologise for the traffic. It's for learning in and making mistakes in and figuring out what works and what doesn't, and yeah, just practicing techniques and trial and error. So I thought I might just try doing a little bit of folk art style flowers. They work much better in acrylic. Then we went with some little blue flowers, and I ended up with them a bit more like butterflies than flowers, I thought. So I did turn one of them into a little butterfly, and that was nice. And then I thought, getting bored with this, so I might try making a vase of flowers in a very loose style and see how that turns out. So I'm just popping some colours loosely on, making sure that the shapes kind of match for each colour. So I've gone for some really blobby pink and some sort of iris shaped yellow and some little tiny blue dots in sprigs. And I found that brush was a little bit too big to be putting my stems in without spoiling the flowers that I've got, so I moved back to my little fine liner, and without any fuss or bother about it, I've just popped in a bunch of little skinny stems in a couple of different shades of green, and then gone with some wider green foliage, like blades of grass kind of thing, and they seem to go well. And with the colours that I used, it seems to go over, especially the yellow, fairly easily without it looking, without the transparency being too much of an issue. And I was going to go with a solid vase, but then at the last second I changed my mind and decided to go with a glass one. Now, remembering I have no reference for this, so it's not going to be perfect, but it might give you some ideas on just how to very quickly make a transparent glass. If I had some white gouache or something, then I think that's how you say it, gouache, then I might have been able to make that a little bit more realistic, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out for a very quick little sketch. And just extended those stems and foliage down into the glass once I'd painted it, and a little bit of a light blue wash over the watery area, and then a little bit of a base for it to sit on. Went a bit too heavy to start with, one thing I really don't like about this paper is it just sucks the paint in. So if you do make a mistake, there's no sort of lifting it off or anything. It's just, it's on there. So that is one difference between this and good watercolour paper. And I just went and added a few little details to the flowers. Again, without being too fussy about it, I want it to be very loose and impressionist. So I've just used dark pink and orange, a little bit of red, and then those being sort of lily iris in my mind, I wanted to put that dark stem in the middle, stamen. Didn't work all that well, but like I said, I was planning on it being quite loose anyway, so it was an enjoyable little exercise, this little vase. And then I thought, just to keep with that loose feeling, I might try a little bit of splatter on it. It did turn out okay, although I started with yellow and you can't see it at all in this light. Because as per usual, I'm working in the middle of the night because the children are all sound asleep and it's lovely and peaceful. This is my little bit of me time. And I splattered some red over it as well, which you can see a little bit more, but I probably should have used a fan brush or something. So there's a bit of a gap there on the page, so I thought I would do as per the instructions and fill the page with flowers and try a couple of different little styles. These little almost spiky pink ones are quite nice. I like those. They'd make a lovely little bouquet if you were doing a little cartoony figure or something that wasn't too close or detailed. Just tied a bow around it and extended the stems in a similar sort of fashion to in the vase. And then just had a bit of fun with doing some little curly whirly bits. Just playing with that very fine brush. And I remember when I was a teenager, I used to really enjoy painting little green stems on things and putting little blue flowers on them, sort of folk art style. And once again, the folk art style didn't really work for me that well, but like I keep saying, it's all just learning and practicing, so not to stress too much. I kept with it and figured out the best way in the end to get these little flowers to look okay, and there's one, the first one that I figured out, and then popped another one up on the top there. And then I thought I'd try some little yellow, we get some little yellow native flowers that look very similar to this. I had those in mind when I tried to paint those, so I'm quite happy with how they came out too. But so that's the end, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please like and subscribe and let me know what you thought. And even if you didn't like it, still let me know what you thought, because I'd love to know how to improve so I know what you guys want. It makes life a whole lot easier for me when I get lots of lovely feedback. So leave a comment and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.